Oh, faithfully conveying value by interpreting great books from around the world. Hello, this is Sally's Book Talk. Today, we're diving into the book Footwear Tales. The subtitle is The Story of Shoes, exploring how it transformed modern life, especially for women who own dozens or even hundreds of pairs. Oh, from stilettos to wedges, boots and sneakers, so many styles. But have you ever wondered how they emerged and became trendy? So, what different meanings do various shoe styles hold for women? Well, all the answers are in today's book. The whole book has 17 chapters, covering the evolution of American women's shoes from the early 1900s to now, over a century. You see, the popular shoes in each era deeply reflect the social status and daily lives of American women in their historical contexts. So, the New York Times called it a history of shoe fashions and a chronicle of women's self-discovery. The author is Rachel Bergstein, an American writer who's long contributed to the New York Times and other media. Oh, to gather material, she spent years interviewing Oscar-winning costume designers like Patrice Brandenstein, Valerie Steele, director of FIT's museum, and founders of shoe brands like Manolo Blahnik. All right, I'm going to break down the last 100+ years into three eras based on shoe styles to walk you through the changes in American women's footwear. The first era, from the early 1900s to the late 50s, saw shoes swinging between practical and sexy.
Next, the 60s to the 80s, where shoes were all about equality and self-expression.
Then, the 90s to today, featuring diversity and individuality. So, let's kick off with the first period, the early half of the 1900s. In this era, shoes mainly alternated between being practical and sexy. Back in the early 1900s, most women didn't need fancy shoes, just something practical. Oh, because skirts were long, often covering the ankles. Shoes weren't big fashion statements. Even high society ladies had few options in styles and colors. Though heel heights varied, colors were limited to black, brown, and white. Styles usually covered the foot with laced-up designs. Exposing the foot was considered improper, and extra shoe decorations were rare. From 1914 to 1918, World War I raged across Europe. To ease wartime economic pressure, European women began working outside home. For work convenience, hemlines shortened, starting a trend that influenced American women too. They adopted shorter skirts, revealing shoes that needed style, not just practicality. Post-war, America's hottest women's shoes were heels, especially T-straps, and Mary Janes with cross straps. Mary Janes originated from the 1902 comic Buster Brown. The shoes worn by character Mary Jane evolved into a term for round-toe, ankle-strap heels. These shoe changes tied to a new post-WWN group, flappers. They got their name from flapping like birds while dancing. Flappers were products of America's rapid post-war economic boom. 1918-1929 became America's famous jazz age, or the Roaring Twenties, named after jazz music's dominance in social dancing. Rapid economic growth catapulted America to global wealth leadership. War's brutality and the deadly Spanish flu made people embrace living in the moment. This era saw American women win voting rights, a landmark feminist victory. In this climate, flappers emerged, hedonistic, free-spirited women in their early 20s. They chopped hair into boyish bobs, discarded corsets, declaring independence, not as baby makers, but men's equals. Rejecting marriage, they embraced male-like sexual openness. Oh, flappers adored high heels, 'cause they were seen as sexy, plus they needed sturdy styles for dancing that wouldn't slip off. Mary Janes with horizontal straps and T-straps were their absolute favorites. But alas, the glitzy, extravagant jazz age couldn't last forever. As WHY loomed, flappers faded away, and sexy heels gave way to practical footwear. Take Salvatore Ferragamo's wedge heels, literally shoes with wedge-shaped soles. Ferragamo's brand endures to this day. Even in our industrial age, they still handcraft shoes. Ferragamo also pioneered wild new materials for shoes. See, with 1930s global turmoil causing leather shortages, he used plant fibers and cork for wedges. Boom! Wedges went viral worldwide. Women found them crazy comfortable. Suddenly, every manufacturer copied Ferragamo's wedge designs. By 1939, a whopping 86% of U.S. women's shoes were wedges. Then, December 7th, 1941, Japan attacked Pearl Harbor and America entered the war. As war deepened, American women switched to plain, practical flats, partly due to rationing. The government limited folks to 3 pairs per year. Shoemakers were forced to eliminate fancy decorations like bows or metal accents. For women then, pretty shoes became impossible luxuries. Plus, they realized there was nothing left to dress up for. With men off fighting, women took over factories and farms, doing men's work to keep the country running. Oh, during World War II, 6 million American women joined the workforce, wearing work pants and comfy flats every day for practicality. This lasted till war's end, when women joyfully welcomed husbands home, left strenuous jobs, swapped flats for sexy heels again. The hot styles then were T-strap sandals with open backs and peep-toe pumps. These designs drew inspiration from War II pinup girls. Oh, U.S. propaganda firms sent sexy starlit posters to fronts to boost morale, all featuring high heels and flirtatious poses. Even barefoot, they'd arch feet like wearing heels, making heels synonymous with sex appeal. Pinups popularized sexy heels, while wives dressed to match husbands' fantasies. By the 1950s, stilettos emerged, needle-thin heels sharp as pins. Designed by French cobbler Roger Vivier, they symbolized post-war prosperity, because thin heels required metal reinforcement, strictly rationed during war. Stilettos looked hotter, but felt way less comfortable than older heels, like this book example. A French woman returned Dior stilettos complaining discomfort. The manager inspected soles and said, "Madam, it's because you walked in them." So stilettos were luxurious yet impractical by design, but they satisfy women's fashion cravings while signaling higher class. This era valued equality. Women of all classes worked side by side, sustaining the economy. Stilettos reinforced class divisions, becoming visible status symbols. Wearing uncomfortable shoes showed a woman had wealth and freedom. They didn't need to walk long distances. All right, that wraps up part 1. So, in the first half century, American women's shoes alternated between practical and sexy. Early 1900s, women's skirts covered ankles completely. Shoes focused on practicality. Post-WW1, flappers sparked the sexy heel trend. T-straps and Mary Janes were the hottest styles then. During WHO's shadow in the 30s to 40s, shoes turned practical again. Ferragamo wedges or work-friendly flats. Post-War II, fashion swam back to sexy heels, open-back sandals, and stilettos. Now let's move to the second era, early 60s to late 80s, where MLK led civil rights-inspired women's equality movements. This ignited second-wave feminism, women demanding equal pay and rejecting second-class status. Thus, shoes symbolizing equality and self-expression grew popular. Equality in footwear meant styles both genders could wear. Boots became iconic, though they weren't new. Back in the late 1800s, women wore boots for horseback riding to protect feet and keep pants clean. But those were pricey leather boots, only affordable for elites. 1960s boots differed. Designers used cheap synthetic materials like PVC for waterproof, affordable styles. Loose-fitting flat boots, especially knee-highs, became mods' go-to footwear. Bods were rock-influenced youth subculture. Mods loved rock music because it voiced freedom and equality they resonated with. Young women in the mod culture value independence and love fashion. They wear polo caps, knee-high boots, and roar through the streets on motorcycles like the boys. There was a popular song at that time called Boots, Boots. The lyrics mention that if a woman finds out a man lied, she should bravely kick him away. She kicks the deceiving man away, and the singer also wears boots while performing. This inspired a whole generation to imitate, and demand for boots skyrocketed. In the mid to late 1960s, the world was more complex than wartime. In the U.S., President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Next, Bobby Kennedy, a liberal presidential candidate, was also assassinated. At the same time, civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated, spreading unease among people. In this dangerous, chaotic era, iconic female heroes emerged on screen, and boots became their signature. For example, the film Barbarella, its heroine's most dazzling outfit is a bikini and over-the-knee boots. Another example is Wonder Woman, a popular character then, whose iconic look includes red boots. If high heels symbolize women using sexual appeal, then 1960s boots represent female strength and moral power. Women in boots dare to face challenges and do it beautifully. A late 1960s New York Times article noted that married women in boots began feeling equal to husbands in every way. Both had equal rights, shared emotions and fantasies, and enjoyed the same freedom. Next, in the 1970s, platform shoes, symbolizing equality, became popular on dance floors. Platform shoes refer to those with thick soles and high heels. The soles are made of natural materials like cork or hemp, decorated with colorful, artificial diamond sequins. Dazzling. The emergence of platform shoes had two main reasons. First, from late 1960s to early 1970s, Western fashion saw the Peacock Revolution. The Peacock Revolution blurred distinctions between men's and women's fashion. Designers flooded menswear with bright feminine colors, ruffles, and prints, creating unisex styles. Thus, rainbow platform shoes became the revolution's signature product.
Trend-setting young men and girlfriends wear platforms to nightclubs together.
Soon, colorful high-platform shoes gained more male and female fans.
Then, in 1977, Italian disco exploded in America. Dancers in printed shirts, bell-bottom pants, and platforms made these shoes iconic. But platforms weren't practical for daily wear, especially for working women. Career women chose quality heels as weapons to declare equality.
Manolo Blahnik's classic pumps perfectly met female executives' needs.
Manolo's philosophy was crafting shoes that make women's feet look elegant. His pumps hid working women's toes for professionalism. Using understated suede with minimal decor, ideal heel height was 5 centimeters for eye-level equality with male colleagues. These pumps balanced femininity with authority, giving women equal height and perspective. By the 1980s, another shoe emerged, sneakers reflecting female self-awareness. More women entered the workforce, supporting themselves without relying on men. As they focused on selfhood, sneaker brands noticed these empowered women. Like Reebok, they first spotted the untapped market of fitness-minded women, partnering with gyms as their breakthrough. Oh, this fitness center was opened by movie star Jane Fonda, mainly profiting from aerobics videos. Reebok gifted their new aerobic shoes to every instructor there. Before that, instructors taught classes almost barefoot. After Jane Fonda's videos became hits, Reebok shoes exploded in popularity. Soon, on LA and NYC streets, you'd see women wearing Reebok aerobic shoes heading to gyms. This was America's first athletic shoe designed for women, claiming to protect knees during exercise, shifting focus from style to function. Take stilettos, impractical for walking, but slender and beautiful. Sneakers first emphasized functionality for women and turned it into fashion. And by mid-1980s, Reebok's original white aerobic shoes were everywhere.
Even movie stars wore Reeboks to international award ceremonies with gowns.
Soon, Reebok, Nike, Adidas all launched walking sneakers, establishing athletic footwear's market dominance, and shifted fashion trends. Suddenly, pairing dresses with non-leg lengthening sneakers wasn't weird. It became American women's independence statement. Sneakers' popularity also shadowed stereotypes, like how fitness culture replaced curvy figures with toned silhouettes, muscles weren't just for men, or how self-first values swept through society. 1980s, stay-at-home moms found 30 to 60 daily fitness minutes didn't compromise family care. For female execs, a vibrant physique signaled self-discipline. It showed they valued themselves and their time. All right, that concludes part 2. From early 1960s to late 1980s, Influenced by second-wave feminism and socio-political movements, shoes symbolizing equality and selfhood won women's favor. From boots symbolizing equal power in the 60s to platforms taking over dance floors in the 70s, the gender-blurring platform shoes.
Career women preferred classic pumps with moderate heels to assert workplace authority equal to men.
Since the 80s, sneakers reflecting female self-awareness became trendy. Now we enter the third era, from the 1990s to present. During this period, America's economy advanced and society grew more inclusive. American women gained greater social influence, embracing self-expression freely, especially with third-wave feminism rising in the early 90s, spotlighting diversity and individual differences. Thus, women's shoe choices became more diverse and personalized.
Guided by diverse values, early 90s young women polarized in shoe styles.
Some adored sweet girly aesthetics.
They wore patent leather Mary Janes, yes, the 1920s flapper style, with plaid miniskirts.
Others dismissed ultra-feminine looks entirely.
They imitated rock stars, rocking Dr. Martens with baggy ripped jeans to flaunt edgy individuality. In 1990s America, Dr. Martens were instantly recognizable. Originally designed by Dr. Klaus Martens, a World War II German army medic, inspired by military boots. With 8 eyelets on tough leather, they radiated power and rebellion. Arriving in America, late 80s, Dr. Martens exploded. Their military vibe resonated with rebellious youth. Back then, nearly every American teen owned a pair. By late 90s, a new group emerged, single ladies. These single, financially independent women ignited luxury high heel trends.
Brands like Manolo Blahnik and Christian Louboutin, heels costing thousands, became coveted status symbols.
Oh, the single ladies phenomenon exploded thanks to the soap opera Sex and the City. When it premiered in 1998, it introduced ordinary viewers to single ladies splurging on luxury shoes and their beloved Manolo Blahnik heels, created by designer Manolo Blahnik. That's the same designer we mentioned earlier, creator of classic pumps for career women. The show's heroine, Carrie, was obsessed with Manolos. Her dozens of Manolos in the show didn't just make her taller, slimmer, and more feminine. They proved she could spend her own money to please herself. Those shoes became a metaphor for her fierce independence. With the show's hype, Manolos, averaging $400 a pair, became household name luxury shoes across America.
Single ladies wore Manolos not to please men, but themselves.
Madonna even declared Manolos as good as sex, but with longer-lasting pleasure.
Today's luxury shoe darling is Christian Louboutin, cemented when Sex and the City 2 ditched Manolos for Louboutins in 2010.
At $1,000 a pair, Louboutins are beyond most women's reach, yet still wildly coveted by fashionistas. Jennifer Lopez adored Louboutins so much, she released a single called Louboutins. Lyrics describe a woman slipping on Louboutins to summon courage to leave her cheating man. Louboutins feature that iconic red sole. Louboutin once said, "Half my customers want the red sole to make them look flirty. The truly flirty half wants to look classy." I think both desires complete a woman. Manolo similarly claimed his shoes give wearers added value. Both designers believed their luxurious heels brought out women's finest inner qualities.
Meanwhile, America's mid-range shoe market is booming too.
Oh, Jeffrey Campbell dominates America's mid-tier shoe market with 400-plus styles from PVC sky-high heels and cutout sandals to classic pumps, hand-painted Oxfords, and avant-garde heels. Their target? Young women who can't afford daily Manolos or Louboutins, but have killer fashion instincts. Affordable shoes mean guilt-free swapping, so they chase the trendiest designs. Campbell's head says, their biggest competition pressure comes from customers themselves.
Because they're the true fashion-forward innovators.
We're now in an ultra-diverse era. Shoes mirror women's diversity. When spiked extreme heels sell out, hand-doodled canvas flats follow suit. Unprecedented variety in colors and styles makes shoes extensions of personal identity. A shoe wins women's hearts not by price or detail, but by speaking to their soul. Like wedge inventor Ferragamo said, where does this girl want to go in life? How will she get there? And how do our shoes truly take her? All right, that wraps up Footwear Tales. Reading notes are below the audio. See you next time.